Hi, this is Jayhawk Scott again, and today I want to talk about a vendor that I've found that I really like, and it's not one of the big name vendors like Marine Depot or even Bulk Reef Supply. It's a smaller outfit. I believe they're run out of Texas, and it's called AutoTopOff.com. And mostly what AutoTopOff.com deals with, they deal with auto top-off systems. But they also do a lot of RO type things, a lot of fittings and things like that. But what I've found that of their stuff that I seem to buy a lot of are the float switches, the solenoids, and stuff like that. And so I thought I would just kind of go through a couple of the items that I've been using from them and just kind of let you know what I think of them. So we'll start over here, and what these are some solenoids. Now these solenoids that I've got here, I've got three different kinds, and let me get this thing focused in. There you go, that'll work better. These two look the same, but one's a 3/8 inch opening and one's a 1/4 inch. So other than that, they're the same type of solenoid. You can get solenoids that are normally closed or normally open, meaning if it's a normally closed solenoid, that when there's no power supplied to the solenoid, the valve will close. When there is power supplied, the valve opens, and you can also get them the other way around, where they're normally open, and when the power is on, they're closed. This bad boy here, this is one of the new heavy duty ones. This is a 3/8 inch, and I use these for areas that are going to be under a lot heavier pressure that I don't want to trust to a standard solenoid. The standard solenoid would probably handle it, but I'm just over engineering it and going with this. These are basically double the cost. This is a 3/8 inch. I think he makes it also in a 1/4 inch solenoid. But what kinds of things can you use the solenoids for? Well, you can use them for things like your RODI system. If you've got a controller, or even you could use just a digital timer, where to allow your RODI membrane, your RO membrane, to last longer. They say it's better to run your RO system for longer periods of time, less frequently. So by using one of these solenoids, you can use that to turn on the water supply to your RO system. So that's one use for them. Another use for them is you could use them in an auto top-off system. If your auto top-off reservoir sits above your tank, you could use them for that. I use mine in a lot of different ways. I've got one hooked up to my RODI system. I've got some hooked up to a pressure release valve on my return pump, and I'm also going to use this one actually on my quarantine tank, and I'll get into that more so when I do a review on my quarantine tank. So these are the solenoids. Like I said, I really like those. I just seem to find more and more uses for them. I think I've bought too many of them, but you can never have enough equipment, right? So okay, next up this is just I'm not sure what it is. These are designed to hold float valves and stuff like that. This one is made, this was a custom one. It's made to go over the edge of my tank, and it is the height of my sump. And so I told him the measurements I wanted of it. He made it to size, and so it fits perfectly in my sump right now. So and what I'll do is I'll mount my float switches onto here, and there's holes up and down, and I can mount my float switches wherever I want, and it gives me a lot of flexibility. And you can use these little things to mount float switches. You can use these things to mount probes and stuff like that, drill the hole out. there's really just an endless number of items, things that you want to hang off into your tank. If you want to, you could probably put a heater on one of these things if you wanted to and didn't want to use the suction cups. You know, you can be creative on what you use them for. I think they're just really useful tools. Okay, next up, what we've got here is we've got float switches. Now, a couple of different kinds of float switches here. They're all essentially the same. They're just in different packaging. This is a basic float switch just mounted to one of the mounts. It's just, you know, regular up and down float switch. And these are pretty high quality float switches. These seem to be better quality than a lot of them that you see out there. So this one has just got, I think it's a 1 1/4 inch PVC cap on it, so that you can see they got the float switch down inside, so that when this sits in the water level waves and stuff like that don't trigger the float switch up and down. The water level's really got to go up and down to trigger this. This is, again, the same thing. It's just not mounted to one of these mounts. They're really good float switches. Like I said, they're Madison float switches. So I don't know really of any better float switches. You can clean them really easy. These little pins pop off the end, pull them off, clean the shaft, and you can keep using them. One of the things, though, even though these are good float switches and stuff like that, you have to plan on them failing, because eventually they will fail. And my plan is to use this big long thing to put a couple of float switches on here, and one will be like a low level mark, one will be like, you know, where I want my water level at, one, you know. So, and by using a controller and on all these float switches, you can really set up a lot of things in your tank. Now, if you don't have a controller and you want to use an auto top-off system, this was my old auto top-off system in my old tank before I got my controller, and it is a standalone system from autotopoff.com, and I've just got it to a different mount here. As you can see, this would just mount was in my sump, and this was my standard water line, and if the water dropped too much, it would kick it on. If it went too high, it would shut it off. But if for something happened to this float switch and it's stuck in the on position, if the water level got up to here, this was my reserve, my emergency, so it would trigger this and it would shut it off. And what it does is all of these wires feed directly into this control unit, and all it does is it controls the pump. So you plug in, obviously, this into an outlet, and you plug in your pump over here, and when the lower unit drops too far, it'll kick the pump on. Your pump pumps water into your tank, and if the water level gets too high, the top float, when it comes up, it'll shut the pump off. So it's just a safety reserve. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about autotopoff.com. I think they've got some really good products. The guy who runs it, I think it's just an individual. I don't think it's a big company. He's very, very good about getting back to you on emails, and I've had a lot of luck with them. And so I would really recommend autotopoff.com for stuff like this. I think he's got pretty decent prices, but he's really quick to ship, and you know, he's got pretty good quality stuff. So anyways, I think that'll wrap it up for my review of autotopoff.com. If you've got any questions about them, or if you look at their website and you have any questions about some of the items on there, I'm happy to answer questions. But again, I haven't used all of his products. I've just used some of them. But if you have questions, obviously you can ask him about them. He's really good, like I said, about getting back to you. And I think it's just one of those companies out there that's not real big, that not everybody knows about, that's worth looking into. So this is Jayhawk Scott signing out again. So I just thanks again to all my my subscribers, and I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers. And again, if you've got any questions, please feel free to shoot me a message, and I will be sure to get back to you. Later.